I knew something was wrong the moment I stepped onto the dock. The abandoned yacht I bought at auction, a massive, weather-beaten vessel that once screamed luxury, wasn't supposed to have lights on. But there they were, thin, golden slivers leaking through the cabin windows, flickering like someone inside was moving around. And the strangest part? I could hear faint voices. Not echoes, not seagulls' actual voices. Laughter. Footsteps. A child whining. Someone opening a fridge. My heart pounded as a chilling realization hit me: someone was already living on my yacht. I froze, gripping the railing as the early morning fog clung to the hull like a warning. I bought this vessel legally. Paid for it. Signed the paperwork. Filed every document. No one should be here. No one was supposed to even know it existed except the marina office. But the evidence was right in front of me. Someone was inside, comfortable enough to make breakfast. I moved quietly across the deck, boots barely tapping the worn teak boards. The closer I got, the louder the voices became. A woman's sharp, entitled tone echoed through the cabin. "I told you this place is ours now. They abandoned it? That means we can stay. Stop asking questions." Her voice was pure Karen energy, commanding, dismissive, dripping with self-declared authority. Then a man answered, sounding worried. "But what if the owner shows up? This feels wrong." The woman snapped back, "Owner? There is no owner. Don't be ridiculous. If anyone asks, we're protecting the yacht until someone claims it. Now hand me that towel. The bathroom is disgusting." My jaw dropped. A Karen. A full Karen family. Living on my yacht like they owned it? I leaned closer to the cabin door, and through the narrow slit in the blinds, I got my first glimpse. A woman in her 40s, blonde bob haircut, oversized sunglasses, indoors barking orders while two kids lounged on my sofa and a man rummaged through a cabinet like it was his pantry. They had moved in. Not just squatting, fully moved in. Bags. Blankets. Food. Clothing. A portable fan plugged into my outlet. Someone had even hung a tacky "Live Laugh Love" sign above the navigation desk. My shock slowly twisted into something sharper. I wasn't angry yet, I was stunned. How did this happen? How long had they been here? And how many laws were they breaking by treating my property like their personal vacation home? I took a breath, stepped back, and prepared to make my presence known. But before I could knock, the Karen inside shouted something that stopped me cold. "Remember, if anyone asks, this yacht is ours now." My hand hovered over the cabin door handle, heart racing. I considered calling the marina security, but part of me wanted to confront them first. I needed to know what I was dealing with. Carefully, I rapped sharply on the door. The voices inside froze. Footsteps shuffled. Then the door swung open, and I came face to face with the Karen herself. She looked me up and down with a mix of curiosity and thinly veiled contempt. Her sunglasses reflected the morning sun, even though we were under the shadowed deck. "Well, who are you supposed to be?" she demanded. Her tone carried the unshakable confidence of someone who genuinely believed the world owed her compliance. Behind her, the man and kids peeked around corners, visibly nervous. "I'm the owner of this yacht," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "I bought this vessel at auction. You're not supposed to be here." Her mouth curved into a smirk. "Owner? Sweetie, this yacht has been abandoned for years. No one has cared for it. So technically, we're just taking care of it until someone claims it. That's what responsible people do." "Taking care of it?" I asked, disbelief creeping in. "You're living here. You've brought furniture, food, everything. You don't even belong in this marina." She crossed her arms, tilting her head like she was deciding whether I was a threat. "We belong wherever we want. The law. That's for boring people. We're practical, and we're smart. If the owner shows up, well, isn't that just bad luck for them? I clenched my fists, holding back the surge of anger. This wasn't just a minor squatter problem, they were brazen. My yacht was my investment, my dream project, and now it was being treated like a playground for entitlement. The man stepped forward cautiously. Honey, maybe we should just let him." "No," the Karen interrupted sharply. "Don't tell me what to do. I've handled worse. He's just new to the rules of life." The kids giggled nervously, and I realized that somehow, this entire family had convinced themselves they had the right to occupy my property. My mind raced. How would I remove them legally? How could I document everything? And most importantly, how could I prevent them from trashing my yacht before authorities arrived? I took a deep breath, trying to calm my nerves. "Okay," I said firmly, "let's do this the right way. You need to leave. I'm giving you a chance before things get messy." The Karen laughed a sharp, commanding bark. "Messy? Sweetheart, we are the definition of messy. Good luck." At that moment, I realized that getting them off the yacht wasn't going to be easy. And the day was only beginning. The Karen's laugh echoed through the cabin like a challenge. I could feel my frustration mounting, but I knew I needed a plan. Shouting or threatening wouldn't work, she thrived on confrontation and drama. I took a step back, surveying the interior. My yacht, once pristine, was now a chaotic blend of blankets, snacks, and mismatched furniture that clearly didn't belong. Every surface told a story of entitlement. I walked slowly around the cabin, trying to stay calm and assess the situation. Two kids peeked at me from behind a sofa. One of them waved awkwardly, unaware of the tension, while the other whispered something to their mother. The Karen's eyes followed my every move, sharp and calculating, as if she were reading my next thought. "Look," I said, lowering my voice but keeping it firm, "I understand people find themselves in tough situations. But this is private property. I can't let you stay here." She raised an eyebrow, tilting her head, clearly amused by my attempt at diplomacy. "Tough situation? Honey, this is luxury living. You bought a dusty old boat, and we're making it livable. You should thank us. Really, we're helping preserve history." I swallowed, realizing reasoning with her would be like arguing with a wall. I needed proof: photographs, videos, clear evidence of trespassing. My phone was in my pocket, and I discreetly started recording. Every movement, every object they had moved inside the yacht, everything that confirmed they were living there illegally. The man muttered under his breath, clearly anxious. "Maybe we should go." "SHH, the Karen snapped. "Not yet. Let him stew. He'll back off eventually." Her confidence was infuriating. She had no intention of leaving voluntarily. I stepped closer to the door. "I don't want this to escalate, but if you refuse to leave, I will have to call the authorities. I'm giving you one final warning." Her smirk widened, and she leaned back against the counter like she owned the place. "Call them," she said mockingly. "I've done nothing wrong. You can try, but you'll see how the system works. People like us, we know how to play the game." I realized then that this wouldn't be a simple eviction. This was going to take strategy, patience, and documentation. I had to prove, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that they had moved in without permission. As I stepped out onto the deck to take a deep breath, I saw something glinting in the sunlight: an abandoned fishing rod, a forgotten cup, a sign of normal life that had been disrupted. But it also gave me an idea for evidence that could finally turn the tide in my favor. I knew the next move would be crucial. I returned to the deck, phone ready, and began documenting every inch of the yacht. The sunlight bounced off the polished wood, highlighting the chaos inside. Blankets, food wrappers, clothing strewn across the cabin. It was a clear display of long-term habitation. I filmed carefully, narrating quietly to ensure nothing was missed. Evidence had to be undeniable. The Karen appeared at the door, crossing her arms like a general surveying her territory. "What are you doing now?" she asked, her voice dripping with disdain. "Documenting my life?" "Careful, honey, people might think you're the crazy one here." I stayed calm, letting the camera roll. "I'm documenting the property as it currently stands. This is your final warning. I need you to vacate the premises or the authorities will handle it." Her laugh was sharp and immediate. "Authorities? Oh, sweetie, you have no idea how long I've dealt with situations like this. Do you really think a simple phone video will scare me?" I held my ground. "It's not about scaring you. It's about legality. You're on private property without permission. That's trespassing." The man muttered under his breath again, clearly uncomfortable. The kids clung to their mother, their small faces showing both curiosity and confusion. The entire scene was a mix of absurd entitlement and undeniable evidence. I decided to escalate carefully. I pointed my camera toward the kitchen area, showing their food, utensils, and the way they had clearly settled in. "See this?" I said quietly. "This is evidence. You've made this yacht your home, which is illegal. I don't want anyone hurt, but you need to leave." The Karen rolled her eyes. "Illegal? You're dramatic. You bought a boat and expected it to remain abandoned." Cute. "Really? I'm just enjoying it responsibly." Her confidence was infuriating, but I remained focused. I had a plan. I would leave briefly, call the marina manager and the local authorities, then return with official support. That way, there could be no argument. Before leaving the deck, I glanced at the kids one last time. They were curious, peeking around the doorframe. Their mother whispered something, and they disappeared inside, leaving me to make my move. I stepped onto the dock, feeling the tension in the salty morning air. I could already sense the Karen plotting, scheming, calculating her next move. But I was ready. I had evidence, strategy, and determination. This wasn't just about reclaiming a yacht, it was about standing my ground against entitlement and blatant disrespect. As I dialed the marina office, I felt a mix of apprehension and resolve. This confrontation was only just beginning. I waited on the dock, phone pressed to my ear, explaining the situation to the marina manager. Every detail mattered: the Karen family living illegally on board, their blatant disregard for rules, and the evidence I had just collected. The manager's voice grew serious. "We'll send security immediately, and I'll contact the local authorities. Stay put and don't engage them directly." Relieved to have official backup, I hung up and watched the Karen pacing inside the yacht, clearly unaware of the unfolding plan. She was barking orders at the man, who shuffled nervously, and the kids were pretending to read while sneaking glances at me. Their confidence hadn't faltered yet, but I could see cracks forming. Minutes later, a marina security SUV approached, blue lights flashing softly in the morning light. I signaled to them, keeping my distance. The Karen noticed the vehicle almost immediately and froze mid-step, sunglasses sliding down her nose in surprise. Her mouth opened, then snapped shut. Panic flashed across her face, the mask of entitlement faltering for the first time. The security officers stepped onto the dock, calm but authoritative. They explained they were there to verify the legal owner's claim and ensure the situation remained peaceful. I handed over my phone, showing the evidence I had captured, videos of them unpacking, moving furniture, and setting up their home. The officers nodded, clearly taking the documentation seriously. Inside, the Karen's demeanor shifted from defiance to frantic negotiation. "Wait. You can't do this. We're just protecting the yacht," she shouted, but her voice had lost some of its earlier confidence. She glanced at the kids, who were clinging to her, unsure of what was happening. One officer stepped forward, politely but firmly. "Ma'am, this property belongs to the man outside. You are trespassing. We need you and your family to leave immediately. If you refuse, we will have to escort you off the vessel." The man whispered something to her, clearly trying to calm the situation, but she waved him off. "No. This is ridiculous. You'll regret this. You can't make us leave." I stayed silent, letting the authorities handle the confrontation. I felt a mix of relief and satisfaction. After weeks of dealing with this, my yacht was finally being reclaimed. The Karen stomped her feet, muttering under her breath, while security guided her family toward the dock. The kids looked confused, glancing back at the yacht that had become their temporary world. As the family was escorted away, I finally stepped onto my yacht. The cabin smelled faintly of their cooking and perfume, but it was mine again. Every surface, every corner, was a reminder of the confrontation that had just ended. I took a deep breath. My yacht was safe. For now. With the Karen family finally gone, I stepped fully inside my yacht, surveying the space. It was a strange mix of relief and disbelief. Every surface bore signs of their occupancy: crumbs on the counters, blankets tossed across the sofas, and a few children's toys that clearly didn't belong. Yet, beneath the chaos, the yacht itself was remarkably intact. I realized I had been incredibly lucky; they hadn't damaged anything irreparably. I began systematically inspecting each room, starting with the cabins. The beds were unmade, but nothing was broken. The bathroom smelled faintly of cleaning products and leftover soap, evidence of their attempt at living comfortably. Even the kitchen, despite a few scattered utensils, seemed functional. It struck me how audacious this family had been, living aboard a property they had no legal claim to, yet leaving it largely in usable condition. I paused in the main salon, taking a deep breath and allowing myself a moment of satisfaction. This yacht had been abandoned, overlooked, and now reclaimed. But reclaiming it wasn't just about ownership; it was about protecting something I had worked to acquire and ensuring it was treated with respect. My mind shifted to the renovation plans I had envisioned before this intrusion. New flooring, a fresh coat of paint, and updated navigation equipment. I could finally proceed without worrying about trespassers. Still, I knew I couldn't leave the yacht completely unprotected. Security cameras, locks, and routine visits would be essential. The Karen family had been a wake-up call, one that would shape how I managed this property moving forward. As I began tidying the cabin, I found a small notebook tucked beneath one of the sofas. Flipping through it, I realized it was filled with the family's notes, shopping lists, schedules, even drawings by the kids. It was strange, almost surreal, to see traces of their lives left behind. I considered discarding it but decided instead to keep it as a reminder, a testament to the audacity and entitlement I had faced. I set up my tools and began removing the blankets, toys, and personal items, placing them carefully in a bag to return to the marina office. Each item represented a boundary that had been crossed, a line that had been tested, and a lesson learned. Finally, standing at the helm, I looked out across the marina. The water reflected the morning sun, calm and undisturbed. My yacht was mine again, free from the chaos of the past weeks. I felt a sense of control returning, a confidence that I could now restore the vessel to its intended glory. As I powered up the lights and checked the navigation equipment, I realized one thing: this was only the beginning. Renovations would take time, effort, and patience, but now, I had the satisfaction of knowing that no one could take this away from me. The next few days were a whirlwind of activity. I arrived at the marina early every morning, armed with tools, paint, and cleaning supplies. My mission was clear: restore the yacht to its former glory while fortifying it against any future intrusions. The Karen family's brief occupation had left it functional, but far from pristine. Dust, crumbs, and lingering scents had to be erased, and every surface meticulously scrubbed. I started with the main salon, vacuuming carpets, polishing wood surfaces, and wiping down every window until the sunlight reflected perfectly off the glass. Each task was satisfying, a tangible way of reclaiming control over a space that had been invaded. As I worked, I couldn't help but replay the confrontation in my mind, the sheer audacity of the Karen family, their smug confidence, and the tension of finally having security arrive. Next, I tackled the cabins. Beds were remade, linens washed, and closets organized. I found a few forgotten items: a water bottle, a toy car, a small jacket, reminders of the tiny lives that had temporarily taken over my yacht. Instead of anger, I felt a strange mix of amusement and incredulity. The situation had been surreal, but now it was behind me. The kitchen received particular attention. I scrubbed the counters, cleaned the refrigerator, and organized cabinets, making sure everything was spotless and functional. I wanted to restore not just the appearance, but the sense of order and pride that should accompany owning such a vessel. The smell of fresh polish mixed with the lingering scent of the sea, creating a reassuring, revitalizing atmosphere. As the days passed, I also installed new locks and a small security system. Cameras were discreetly positioned to cover all entrances and blind spots. I wanted peace of mind, knowing that no one could casually reoccupy the yacht. Each precaution was a small victory, a shield against the chaos that had recently erupted. Finally, I took a moment to stand at the helm and survey my work. The yacht looked renewed, almost like a phoenix rising from the chaos of the Karen family's temporary reign. I could envision hosting friends, navigating open waters, and enjoying the luxury that had initially drawn me to this vessel. Though the renovations were ongoing, the sense of control and satisfaction was immediate. My yacht was not just restored physically, but mentally reclaimed. I had faced entitlement head-on, documented evidence, and ensured justice prevailed. As I powered up the navigation lights that evening, I realized something important: owning a yacht wasn't just about luxury or aesthetics, it was about protecting what you work for and standing firm when boundaries are crossed. By the 8th day, the yacht was nearly unrecognizable from the chaos left behind by the Karen family. The floors gleamed, the woodwork shone, and the cabin smelled of polished surfaces and fresh paint. Every corner had been scrubbed, and the equipment was meticulously checked. It wasn't just restored, it was upgraded, fortified, and ready for proper use. I spent the morning checking the newly installed security cameras. Each one covered a strategic angle: the dock, the deck, the main entrance, and blind spots that could previously be exploited. I tested each camera, ensuring the feed was clear and the recording function worked perfectly. Knowing I had eyes everywhere gave me a sense of relief I hadn't felt since discovering the Karen family aboard. Next, I focused on the smaller details. The galley was reorganized, utensils and cookware in their rightful places. The navigation system was updated, lights repaired, and the engine thoroughly inspected. I found joy in the meticulous work, each task a reaffirmation that this yacht was mine, and no one could claim it without consequence. In the mid-afternoon, I stepped onto the deck and looked out over the marina. The water sparkled, and seagulls glided past lazily. It was peaceful, almost meditative. I thought back to the first moment I had encountered the Karen family, the shock, disbelief, and tension, and contrasted it with the calm of now. The difference was night and day. While restoring the yacht, I also thought about the lessons learned. Entitlement, audacity, and disregard for rules can appear anywhere, even in seemingly unlikely places. The Karen family had acted with confidence because they believed boundaries didn't apply to them. Standing firm, documenting everything, and involving the authorities had been crucial. It wasn't just about reclaiming property, it was about asserting boundaries and reinforcing accountability. By evening, I had placed the final touches: fresh towels, neatly folded linens, and a small decorative plant on the counter. The yacht felt alive again, ready to welcome its rightful owner and guests. I stood at the helm, imagining the adventures ahead: weekend cruises, sunsets over the water, and the freedom of open seas. As I powered down for the night, I felt a profound sense of satisfaction. The yacht was secure, functional, and beautiful once more. More importantly, I had proven to myself that I could handle unexpected challenges with patience, planning, and resolve. Looking out over the quiet marina, I smiled. The Karen family's brief intrusion had left its mark not just in mess, but in lessons. I knew that from now on, my yacht would be a symbol of perseverance, vigilance, and the rewards of standing firm. The morning light reflected off the water, sparkling like diamonds across the marina as I prepared for my first full day on the yacht after reclaiming it. The air smelled faintly of salt and polish, a mix that immediately lifted my spirits. I walked through the cabin, checking every detail one last time, ensuring the Karen family's remnants had been fully removed and that everything was secure. Sitting at the helm, I reflected on the whirlwind of the past 2 weeks. What had started as excitement over an abandoned purchase had quickly turned into a battle of entitlement versus rightful ownership. The Karen family's audacity had tested my patience, my strategy, and my ability to remain calm under pressure. But ultimately, standing firm, documenting every step, and involving the authorities had ensured justice prevailed. I powered up the yacht, testing the navigation systems and engines. Everything hummed smoothly, ready for the adventures I had envisioned. The sunlight glinted off the polished rails, casting bright lines across the deck. I realized how much effort had gone into reclaiming this vessel, not just physically, but mentally. It wasn't simply about removing trespassers, it was about restoring control, confidence, and pride in something I had worked for. As I walked across the deck, I thought about the Karen family one last time. Their entitlement had been maddening, their arrogance bold, but it had also taught me a valuable lesson about vigilance and preparedness. I had learned that ownership isn't just about holding a title, it's about protecting what's yours, standing up to those who disregard rules, and acting decisively when boundaries are crossed. I opened a window to let the sea breeze in and felt a sense of freedom. This yacht was finally my sanctuary. The cabin smelled clean, the galley gleamed, and every surface reflected sunlight like it was brand new. Even the small touches I had added, the plant, the neatly folded linens, the organized storage, made it feel more personal, more mine. As I looked out over the calm water, I imagined the weekends ahead, cruising through hidden bays, watching sunsets from the deck, inviting friends aboard, and simply enjoying the peace that comes from ownership without intrusion. The ordeal with the Karen family was now a story, a memory of audacity faced and boundaries reinforced. I powered down the lights, took one last glance at the marina, and smiled. My yacht was secure, pristine, and ready for its future. The challenges had been unexpected, but overcoming them had made the victory all the sweeter. I had reclaimed not only a vessel but also my peace of mind, and that, I realized, was the greatest reward of all.